So I'm here with Leslie James Pickering. He just gave a talk here at UMass Boston. So he is an activist and former spokesperson for the EFL, which is the Earth Liberation Front. Yeah. So can you just briefly explain some of the things you talked about here at your talk about how the FBI would surveil you and they would spy on you simply for your activist work? So.
At this point, I'm aware that I have at least 30,000 pages of FBI files on myself, and that I've been under investigation for over 38 different investigations for the last 20 years, all based on environmental and social justice activism. It's fully legal.
Yeah, so you're just saying it was like simple, just environmentalism, activist work, I guess, and why would you think they would just go after people like you?
Well, in my case, I'm definitely on the more radical side of environmental activists, even at a young age, so I'm not going to pretend like that I didn't want to see some massive change happen, but the reality is that I'm kind of like an extreme example.
Yeah.
It's the policy of these agencies to monitor political dissent within this country. That's like basically their mission, what their point is. So a case like mine helps to sort of highlight the reality of it. A lot of times we think, oh, well, that's just craziness, or that just happens on TV, or that's just paranoia. The reality, this stuff happens. This is how it functions. This is how the system functions. This is a major part of the FBI's duty, is to monitor political dissent, to quash it when necessary. So, in my case, I've been involved in the radical environmental movement. I've been arrested for civil disobedience actions. I had spoken out on behalf of underground activity, but had not committed any of that stuff myself. I was just sort of speaking out for it, and there's a sort of a spokesperson for it, a mouthpiece for it, and that was enough for the government to launch a sort of campaign of investigation that has yet to cease.
Yeah. And at the end of your talk, you said something really important, which you said you think most of the work that the FBI does is not actually going after drug dealers and real terrorists, but it's going after people like you. Would you agree with that? Or?
Well, I mean, real terrorist is going to be open to someone's opinion. People in the FBI would say everyone they're after is a real terrorist. I have a different definition of what is a terrorist and what isn't, and those people. But definitely the FBI was founded, again, on monitoring and quashing political dissent. It's a major part of its sort of day-to-day activities across the country. It has an extensive history, including horrific illegality performed under the counterintelligence program and several other investigations where people have been framed up, people have been bad-jacketed or had their character assassination, they call it, and people have been assassinated, and FBI has had a hand in a lot of that quite often, and there's documented proof of it. And we know right now that the FBI has been working diligently over the last couple of decades to criminalize the environmental and animal rights activist communities, as well as the anarchist community in particular, saying that these people are basically just terrorists in and of themselves because of what they believe in, and making things that we thought 10 years ago were nothing more than normal protest or maybe civil disobedience, and turning that out to be terrorist activity in the eyes of law enforcement. So that's the reality.
One last question. Do you think this country would be better off without the FBI?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I do think they would be better off without the FBI. We would be better off without the FBI. That doesn't mean that I don't think we should have law enforcement investigations, but I think the FBI is so thoroughly corrupt, with such an extensive history of starting J. Edgar Hoover's involvement alone is so influential in this agency, and he was just fully corrupt. And so I don't think that, that you can come back from that kind of corruption. Any society has to have some kind of like investigative and law enforcement sort of body, regardless of whether or not it's that formal. But you do need to take care of problems in society, and I'm not saying that we should just let everything go unchecked. That wouldn't be good at all. But I don't think the FBI can be reformed. I don't think there's any hope for the organization at all. I think it's thoroughly corrupt.
Okay, all right, thank you. That was it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.